right. Welcome to another video, everybody. Today we got something pretty cool for you. I'm going to be building a new custom GPT, and I'm going to use my 6 prompts for top 1% custom GPTs. I'm writing this into a lead magnet currently, so it will be available for your own use soon. At the moment, I just wanted to kind of show you how it works. So you can see here, prompt 1 is just to warm up the conversation. And we're doing this because ChatGPT has pretty good memory, especially with its newest models. I believe version 5 was released last month. So this is a very good prompt to start with, because you'll notice as we go on, some of the prompts don't even have any field to customize with. They're kind of just an autopilot thing, as long as you're, reading through it and actually understanding what goes into your GPT. So we're going to create the best custom GPT ever made. It's fun to kind of just set the stage there a little bit. We don't really care who its primary users are. Its task is to write short stories of various genres. And the reason I picked writing short stories here is because I think the creative tasks are where they are falling behind, especially more logical models such as ChatGPT. So if we create a custom GPT that is able to do these creative tasks, that'll kind of be a testament to the capabilities of this method. Now, write short stories of various genres. Target audiences will vary by project. Research the greatest people in the world who have done this task in this or similar contexts and describe their methods in great detail. And we'll go ahead and hit this with a deep research task. What genres or audiences are you most interested in emulating? Yeah, I'd like it to be able to do various genres and audiences, so a similar variety of sources, perhaps ones that compare and contrast how different projects work would be best. Let's focus on traditional short story masters, because it's got me there. I do want to inform an AI approach is ultimately what I'm doing. I have seen people comparing, anonymous human written short stories versus AI written ones, and it's pretty easy to tell the difference. So it's very important to me to make sure this thing can actually do a good job. So, traditional short story masters are rare, and historical greats are both good choices. Not a terribly useful reply, because I basically just said do all of them, but it helps. I really like that ChatGPT's deep research tasks are trained to ask you clarifying questions before it goes ahead and does the research. Because I think what most people do wrong when they use ChatGPT is they are being vague and not giving it enough clarity to actually do them a good job. And so I really like that OpenAI themselves have kind of answered this in order to allow ChatGPT to better serve the public. That is awesome of them. And there we go. Dang, look at that. 90 searches. You gotta love deep research. Masters of the short story and their methods. Okay, first of all, I love the introduction. That was very well done. ChatGPT doesn't usually write that well, so I'm pretty excited to see what's in this report. A unity of effect. Single emotional effect that makes Chekhov's gun returns. All the traditional rules of storytelling have been broken, and it is one of the greatest stories ever written. See, this is the type of knowledge that I want a GPT to have if I'm going to trust it with creative tasks. It needs to understand that not all rules are set in stone. I love this. Hemingway. I didn't know Hemingway did short stories. All right, it's time for us to use prompt 2. This is going to create thought processes for the GPT to work through when it's doing its work. Now, based on these methods, create a structured, highly detailed list of numbered steps to guide its thought process. When writing these steps, think about it from the user's perspective, or the target audience if more applicable. Yeah, it's not more applicable. I think we'll be okay. The first step should be as follows. If you don't have all the information you should have from the user, ask for it clearly and specifically before proceeding. All right, short story GPT end-to-end thought process. Okay, makes sense. Oh, it gave us specific things that it should look for. I like that. Short success checklist. Choose the target unity of effect. Okay, I like it. Clarify theme, controlling idea. Accuracy is strong. That's pretty hardcore. I like that. Select genre mode and structural pattern. Ooh, okay. Pick a shape, 3-act, 5-beat, hook, incitement, complication, turn, outcome. Vignette, chain, or puzzle essay hybrid. Pick narrator, tense, and focal distance. List any facts you must know. Gather 3 to 7 concrete specifics to imply a larger world. Avoid bluffing. I like that it does this already. This kind of dives into what we're going to do in just a second. It's very forward thinking in that aspect. Protagonists want X, but Y stands in the way, so they Z, leading to outcome. Okay. Good. Choose setting and symbolic palette. Pick 2 to 3 symbols that can work double time. I love what it's doing here. Outline beats and reveals, plants payoffs, escalations, turn realization climax, aftermath, twist, place fair clues, ensure satisfying reread. Dude, it thinks of everything. Scene design and pacing map, dialogue and subtext plan, language and voice dial, plain lyrical, lexicon, age appropriate. Bradbury. Foreshadowing, red herrings, and fairness. Mark each plant's echo. For twists, at least 3 faint clues. Avoid deus ex machina. Makes sense. Revision past 2. Audience fit and sensitivity. Voice polish and imagery audit. Final Q&A. And it gave us the output format. This is perfect. I love this. In that case, let's go ahead and move on to prompt 3. Now, this one, we don't really need anything too fancy. We just need to make sure to subvert the 5 most common limitations of current LLMs. Those are, they match patterns lazily, which is especially bad in the creative space, and they are confidently inaccurate, which is more relevant to technical tasks, coding and science, etc., but it is something we want to keep in fiction as well. If they're confidently inaccurate, that can lead them into stereotypes rather than representing people correctly, shall we say. There we go. That is just a little much. Here, can you shorten the limitation defense clause to a single paragraph? I don't really like summarizing. In fact, I really hope we don't have to summarize this procedure bit, but we are working with a hard ceiling of 8,000 characters on Custom GPT's system instructions, which is what we're building. So, that's what I like to see. Okay, here we go. Create 2 bulleted lists in Markdown format. The first list is the input guardrails, or everything that GPT needs to know from the user before completing its task. Let's just say you have started a job and you haven't been trained on it, but you were expected to do the job without knowing how to do it. That's kind of the position you put an AI in if you ask it to do a job and don't give it the right tools. This is what input guardrails are for. We're quality checking what the human sends to the AI. And output guardrails are the reverse. We are now quality checking the GPT's, what it gives back to the human. We're making sure it isn't garbage. This, by the way, this is the number one thing that is going to separate your custom GPT from the others. So this should be pretty easy because, we just have to, there we go, merge these into a single checklist. Now, they're perfectly fine as two. Now, knowledge base blueprint. This is where things are going to get interesting, okay? Research and develop the best possible knowledge base this GPT can have. Remember, we don't want to randomly dump PDFs. By the way, that is a common mistake when people are making GPTs. They have this little spot when you're building them that you can upload documents as a sort of knowledge base that the GPT can recall from while it's doing its work. So for example, say I'm asking how much an elephant weighs, the GPT can make up a guess based on what it knows about elephants. Or if I have the facts in its knowledge base, it can just go there and retrieve that information and just give it straight to me. And so that's the important thing about a knowledge base, is that it shortens the length a GPT has to go to have the right knowledge. Now, a big knowledge base is not a valuable knowledge base. There's a big difference. And the main difference is right here. I want it to grade our knowledge base data sources, shall we say, on 4 things. We want the best performing files in all 4 categories, and only those will be included in our final knowledge base. Now, and let's limit it to 10 as well. That has been a problem in one of my past builds, is that it gave me like 20, 25 things, and I appreciate the enthusiasm, truly, but we're not going to be able to fit as much just because we also want a bulleted list of each knowledge base item in the system instructions that is going to help the GPT to navigate it. Here we go. The Philosophy of Composition by Edgar Allan Poe, an essay from 1846. Shouldn't be too hard to find. Oh yeah, see? And look at that. We have ourselves the Philosophy of Composition. See, so ChatGPT doesn't always find them directly when we use this prompt. It does its best, and it finds them some of the rest of the time. It's just really easy for us to do it, So yeah, let's have a look at these others. The Poetic Principle, the stories and poems of Edgar Allan Poe. Interesting. Draft knowledge base section. Good. This is very good. Now we're going to string together everything we just made to put our final system prompt together. Use this format, blah, blah, blah. Contact hello at Blackfish Automations.com if you need assistance. And I don't really know if the thinking model is necessary to run this last prompt, but I think it helps. And here we go. Look at this. Knowledge base, notes. Perfect. So just to walk you through the final system prompt we've created before we plug it in. You are a short story GPT, a professional story engine that plans and writes short fiction across genres for varied audiences. Okay, I think I might change the name. In fact, I believe I remember OpenAI advising ChatGPT users to avoid putting GPT in the name of their custom GPTs. So that might be a good thing to not do. Your task is to elicit missing inputs, design for a single intentional emotional effect, a body theme through concrete action and image. No preaching. I like that it put that there. Maintain tight plants and payoffs for internal continuity. Tailor voice pacing and complexity to the audience. And 6, deliver the story strictly in the user's requested format. Before you perform this task, you should clearly understand these things. Perfect procedure. These steps will guide your thought process as you complete this task. Good. And that is our entire procedure that we created earlier. Here are our output guardrails, the deliverables. Here is kind of our knowledge base table of contents. It helps me to think of it that way, as a table of contents, just to help make sure the GPT actually knows what is where when it's looking to retrieve knowledge. And then the notes section simply has the limitation defense clause that we created earlier, as well as a default safety clause. Most custom GPTs avoid this, and that puts them in danger of users stealing their system instructions and using it to create their own custom GPTs. That's not good, especially if those GPTs are being sold. That's a serious problem. And AI is kind of the Wild West right now. The legal sphere hasn't quite caught up to AI yet. It's kind of still a weird thing to them. So it's a good idea to fend for yourself. I'm gonna go ahead and hit create. Now, free users are not going to have the ability to create custom GPTs. That is why I recommend forever and always to have a ChatGPT Plus account. That is only $20 a month. It's not gonna break the bank, okay? Because you can do stuff like this. Let's just call it Short Story Master. Listen, you can make fun of my naming later. First of all, we're going to cut the stuff in parentheses out of the procedure, and we'll see if that helps. Because it's usually the stuff in parentheses that's extraneous. That's the stuff that you can take out without really hurting the performance of the GPT. So that's what we're going to start with. Okay. It's kind of funny. If you actually read along with the stuff in parentheses that you're cutting out, usually they are just logical extensions of the thing that came before them. And that means that ChatGPT can probably make those inferences without all that extra prompting. That's why the stuff in parentheses is usually good for cutting out. That's an interesting idea. Oh yeah, we don't. Okay, we're pretty close. This is about 10,000 characters, a little more. And we only need to cut it down to 8. So I'm thinking if we just cut out the sub-steps from the procedure, then we'll probably be able to make the character minimum. And then we are going to use DALL-E to create our picture. This is possibly my favorite part of creating the custom GPT, because you can just hit a button and it creates the picture for you. And it's always fun. Like, even if it's not a perfect fit, that's fine. You can hit it again. And, usually it takes 3 tries or less to have something you like. So look at that. It's simple. It pops. Nice use of color. Expert short story writer across for varied audiences, across varied genres. Perfect. Now, let's go ahead and recommend a model for this user. Let's do GPT-5. It has better use of the natural English language than the GPT-4o that came before it, but I don't really think it needs the thinking capabilities of more logical tasks. Conversation starters are pretty nice as well. Write me a short story. So, that's where the buttons come from that you can hit, and it will pre-fill your prompt box. I don't really like to do those personally, but you can have them. it's a nice way to show off certain capabilities of your GPT. Now, knowledge. This is what I was talking about earlier. This is where you can, look at this. Yes. Poe philosophy of composition.txt. Oh, we want to make sure that's a PDF. And there is our first PDF. Now from here, the build process is pretty simple. It's just go back to that chat history, get the rest of the knowledge base documents put together and upload them here. And after that, you can just go ahead and hit create GPT and you'll see some privacy settings. Maybe you just want yourself to use it. Anyone with a link is what I usually do. Or you could choose to list it on the GPT store. So I'm going to have this here currently. And after this, all you really have to do is test it and continue to iterate. And after about 2 iterations, you'll have something you really, really like. I promise. So that is it for this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you success on your journey creating custom GPTs. It's a lot of fun and it delivers a lot of value to your life and to your business. And if you are interested, please feel free to hit the link in the description and go ahead and book a free AI strategy call with me. But that'll be it. Before you subscribe, make sure you know what you're doing because it ain't easy being at the top. I'll see you guys next time.